Hello there, I'm just going to do another little blog video. This time it's about something that I've actually seen myself on YouTube, and it's about the Calais migrant crisis. It's a video from Vice News, and it's entitled Migrant Crisis Calais. And it was actually the first part of a two-part video, and I've seen both parts, but this is about the first part, which is about the some of the migrants in Calais itself. Okay, and yes, and this was filmed. This was actually published rather in 2014, and things have moved on a bit since then, and as we all know in the news, and even at the time last year, it was the camps, especially the area near the port and near the and near the lorry park. There were a series of very squalid sort of little camps with some of the camps didn't even have tents. So where these migrants were just predominantly men, were sleeping on the floor and sleeping on sort of various benches and stuff like that. And yes, the program interviewed a number of these men who wanted, well, Afghan men who wanted to get into the UK, and yeah, I mean, they all have a story to tell, and it's very hard not to sympathise with them. There was one chap they interviewed, the presenter interviewed, sorry, called Jamal, who's from Afghanistan, and his story was that he fled Afghanistan and he hopes to make it into the UK, and he said that in Afghanistan, if you're with the Taliban, the army will kill you, and if you're with the army, the Taliban will kill you. And if you're neither the Taliban nor the army, then both sides will try to kill you, which is basically illogical, really. And so from that, that prompted him to cross all the way, go across the Eurasian continent to the edge of France to get to the UK. And he says the reason he wants to go to the UK is because he can find work there, and also he can also have some of the UK's human rights. But it didn't. First of all, it didn't elaborate on what sort of work he's hoping to get, and also it didn't elaborate on what he meant by human rights. There was another Afghan sort of migrant that the presenter interview didn't catch his name, but he also travelled overland from Afghanistan via Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, Greece, Italy, all the way to Calais, hoping to make it to the UK. And he kept saying he wanted asylum, seek refuge in the UK. But the thing is, according to the Geneva Convention, if you're fleeing persecution, you should seek asylum in the first safe country, and he's passed through several safe countries already, and France is a safe country, right? So why didn't he? Why hasn't he already applied for asylum status yet? And some of those countries have societies and cultures which are more amenable to his culture. And then later on, the program shown this kind of like a protest when some local Calais council officials turned up, and at the same time there was a hunger strike carried out by some of the migrants, by some of the people in the camps, and there was one of the Afghan chaps who was interviewed. He actually spoke to these council officials and said to them, "Look, it's no use us claiming asylum in France because we don't have any accommodation." And he pointed at a chap somewhere in the distance who had claimed asylum in France and was granted asylum in France, but ended up sleeping rough, and then which has now prompted him to try for asylum in the UK. So it turns out that this human rights that they're talking about is access to social benefits like housing, for example. So, which probably explains why they don't, which is why they're not claiming asylum in the first safe country and they want to head to the UK. Basically, it's because it's a case of using the asylum process to circumvent the normal rules of immigration and migration. I mean, I personally, I'm a very, very big supporter of immigration, but it actually has to be legal immigration. And the other thing I noticed is when they showed a scene of the migrants themselves all queuing up at a soup kitchen, was that they're all men. If they're all fleeing persecution, especially in Afghanistan or Syria or whatever, there should be women and children with them. Where are they? Which again makes their claims of asylum or asylum from persecution very, very dubious, right? And the final thing I want to mention is that nobody's ever asked the British whether they want these people in. It's all very well the migrants themselves say, "Oh, I want to go into the UK and I want to contribute." And I've no doubt some of them will make a great contribution, but nobody's ever asked the British citizens whether they want all these migrants to come in. Nobody's asked them what they think. Yeah, what they think in this matter. British citizens, white, black, Chinese, Indian, brown, whatever. They have not been solicited in this whole process. So that's my tuppence worth. Thank you for watching. Bye.